Okie dokie. So, um, hey, what's up, everybody? Gustalos back. Last night I published late with my blue blockers on a video about how I chose Kristalos Wolf as my name. And in this one, I want to talk a little bit more about human design. I don't think I went into it deeply, but I did mention human design as an important factor in why Kristalos Wolf resonated with me and resonates with me. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about human design and my experience with it, um, because for me it's been a very powerful, amazing tool. And like I shared in the last one thing I noticed is when I share from my experience lessons that I've learned, other people listen and it benefits other people. It also ties up loose ends for myself to speak it out loud. Um, my hope is that in tying up my own loose ends by sharing these words, I will also help y'all tie up your own loose ends and possibly give you a tool that is helpful for you. Um, Human design is a system that this guy, Ra Uru Ha, I think is his name, I might be getting that wrong. In the 80s, he had a spiritual experience and then came back and wrote down and created this intricate system of correspondences. It's similar to astrology in that it it takes your birth time and your birthplace and it makes a chart out of that. Now it's a lot more intricate, and the idea is about 88-ish days before you were born, you were designed. Your unconscious was designed. So there's two different charts in a way. There's a chart 88 days before you were born, and then there's a chart when you were born, and then there's interactions between the two, and it creates this dynamic um, map that is also based upon the I Ching. It's based upon astrology. It's based upon Kabbalah. It's based upon a lot of different things. It's also based upon chakras, but they also add to, so it becomes centers. There's 9 centers in your body that govern different things. They interact with each other differently, and they also interact with other people differently. There's a lot of different modalities that are combined in this one graph. And I was skeptical when I first heard of it. Like I mentioned, there was this woman that I met at a party, really magnetic, and we had a deep conversation about human design. I actually asked her out. We went on a date. We had a fling that was really fun and really short. It was really fun and really short. 2 dates, good time for both of us. And what I noticed very quickly, and what she also noticed, was when we were talking about human design, she was magnetic to me. This isn't really the best place to record. There's cars going by. There's a loud truck, so I'm gonna wait. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not, but that truck will be gone soon. And then I'll begin talking again. But when we were talking about human design, I noticed I was drawn to her. I was magnetic. And when we weren't, and when she shared more about herself, I actually was like, that doesn't really feel compatible. Maybe we can make it work. But we weren't really compatible. It was just that magnetically, I was like, like this thing you're talking about, I want to hear more. I've noticed that to be a case. I've written some posts about this. When there's a woman that has something to teach me, it's almost like the universe puts a quest marker above her head. And sometimes I'm drawn to a woman because she's meant to be my partner. Sometimes I'm drawn to a woman because in the process of the attraction dance, I learn something that's important for me. Sometimes it's something like human design. Sometimes it's something else. But I felt drawn to her for that reason. And she told me what it means to be a projector, what it means to be, I'm a 3-5 projector. And at first I rejected it. I was like, I don't want to wait for the invitation. That sounds stupid. Because the idea of a projector is we have penetrating awareness into what goes on with other people, into why other people are the way they are. and what's going on with them. We receive their information, we amplify it, and then because of that, we can kind of see what's going on in there, and we can use that information to guide them. But what I've noticed is well, I mean, at the time, I didn't like that idea. I didn't like that my job was to wait, right? And the idea is that because we're so perceptive, um, the guidance that we share is powerful, but it's like when somebody asks me for guidance. If somebody is looking for guidance and I give that to them, great. If somebody isn't looking for guidance and I give them unrequested advice, and unrequested advice that is really deeply insightful into who they are, it can kind of be confronting, and it can kind of be like, well, fuck you, like, you don't know me, you know? So the idea is to wait to be recognized for our strength and to be invited. And that's something I didn't like the idea of, because I wanted to be initiator. I wanted to be like, I'm going to go on and do what I want. That's how it's supposed to happen. That's how all the men that I admire, they do what they want. They go and they make things happen. And I wanted to do that, and I was acting like that at the time, and it was causing a lot of resistance in my life, but to an extent, it had some results. It was just exhausting and causing a lot of resistance, which I kind of knew. And the key thing that really landed for me was when I started testing it out, when I started applying it, sometimes actively because I'm like, oh, maybe I should try to wait for the invitation because I'm a projector, but also not even actively, but passively, just by noticing, by doing different things, and by noticing, like, oh, okay, from the past, when I wait for an invitation versus when I try to initiate. And what I noticed was people felt a lot more comfortable and a lot more receptive to me the more that I let them come to me. People gave me more opportunities when I didn't hold back and was silent in the background. Like, it's not me just being passive and silent, but when I allowed other people to recognize and invite me, things flowed a lot better. There was a long period of my life. I talked in the last video about when I was at Rutgers. I let my status get to my head. I was helpful and supportive and social and warm, and because of that, I was invited vigorously to lead 2 clubs. They actually I was like, no, I don't want to lead. And they're like, no, you have to take over the club for me. I'm leaving Rutgers and I want to make sure that you're the person to be the president. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I had 2 leadership opportunities. And then because I became this more egotistical, I became more driven, and I let all that get to my head, I wrecked all of the social status that I'd built because I had neglected the reason that it was powerful for me. And since then, I became somebody who was more... and I'm just going to stop so that I can have focus. It's really a bad place to film. But I'll make a better choice next time. That pattern kept going in my life. That pattern of me, trying to initiate, trying to make things happen, which isn't a bad strategy for a lot of people. For me, what I noticed, it was causing a lot of friction. Whenever there were a lot of times I would be in a situation, I'd try to make a joke, and the timing was off. I always kind of noticed that I wanted to be able to lead the attention of the group. I wanted to be able to say a joke and for people to laugh, to initiate a new topic of conversation and for people to follow. And I noticed a lot of people could do that, and I'm like, okay, I just got to be grounded. I got to be forceful. I got to be certain in my voice, confident. And it just seemed to cause friction when I tried to lead the group. And all of these things are reflected in my chart, and I didn't like it. The thing about human design that I came to learn is you don't have to believe it. You don't have to follow it. It's a description of what your energies are or what they could be. And if you find that it doesn't fit, great, don't use it. But what I've noticed is when I actually look at the chart and I'm like, okay, well, that means this is probably true about me, and then I do that thing, um, things work out, and there's a lot less resistance in my life, and things work out better. So that's one of the struggles I'm going through right now, is like, because over and over again I found that I can trust it. I want to make sure that like it doesn't become a guideline for my life. Like the chart becomes who I am, rather than the chart ideally describing how I am, but how I am is really true, and centering myself on how the world responds to what I do. And if I do something that my chart says I shouldn't do, but it works out, then that's the key, right? So that's one of the things I'm working through right now, because I've gained so much trust in human design. I think I'm going to fall into the trap of putting the chart before myself, and I'm excited about that, because that's going to rebalance itself naturally. I got to go too far in one direction to find out where the line is. But one thing I noticed is I was getting the feedback over and over and over again. People were uncomfortable around me. I felt like I was reaching. I got the feedback over and over and over again. I was reaching, needing validation, needy, reaching. And when I embraced my human design, when I embraced that the suggestion is to relax, to sit back, and to wait to be invited, not passively. And I don't need necessarily somebody to be like, hey, Kristalos, I appreciate your ability to see. I want you to help me in this situation. Can you do that? Like, it doesn't have to be like that. It could just be, I could get a sense that I'm invited. Sometimes I can tell when I'm welcome, and when somebody wants my energy, when somebody's pulling me towards them. It's more subtle sense. And as a splenic projector, the idea is that I'm very in tune with my body, and my body gives me signals, my instinct, right? And that's something that I've found to be very true. I'm extremely instinctual and intuitive, and I can very quickly tune into my body and be like, oh, okay, it makes sense to go over here, or it makes sense to go over here, or it doesn't make sense to go over there. That's bad energy, right? My body's really, really, really good at that. And so I can sense when somebody is inviting me in just by the way they look at me, or just I can kind of sense that. So it doesn't have to be like, hey, Kristalos, come over here. I want you to help me with this. Please guide me. It can just be like, I feel like they are seeking my energy. And so from the outside now, it looks like I'm initiating. It looks like I'm making the first move and going over to a person and initiating guidance. But what it really is I'm following the flow of where I feel I'm needed, and where I feel I'm welcome. And I'm actually following a deeper energetic undercurrent. That's one thing that's been really powerful for me. And I'm starting to look into human design for my friends, for the people I love, and learning more about more types. I have some reflector friends, one close reflector friend. I have a manifestor friend. I have manifesting generator friends. I have projector friends. I don't know if I have just a generator friend. I have to check. I'm checking everybody's chart. It's really exciting and really fun. But there's really a lot of depth into it. So it's something I want to talk about more, just because it's something I'm studying, something I'm learning, and something I feel called for. Something that in my life, the more that I follow it, it seems to be the better that life becomes. The biggest thing for me is I got the feedback over and over again. People felt repelled by me. People felt uncomfortable around me because they felt my energy was reaching, was needy, and was validation seeking. I got that feedback over and over and over and over again. And when I stopped trying to initiate, people were like, oh, you feel grounded, you feel comfortable, you feel safe. And not safe in a weak way, safe in like, I want to be around you, I want to open up around you. And it wasn't that initiating was bad. For a lot of people, that's how they go through the world. They're like, I want to do this. I'm going to make the first move. I'm going to initiate. And it's just, that's not how my energy works. My energy works really well when I am invited. And, I still invite people to things. Like I host karaoke every month. I can still invite people to things. But there are certain kinds of invitations. There are certain kinds of things where I give guidance or I give insight that can be a little confronting, or like if I'm dating somebody, it can be a little confronting if there's not an energetic invitation that I feel beforehand. And that's one thing that's been really, really complicated for me that I seem to have figured out, which is dating. Um, so as a man, the idea is that we initiate. That's our role in society. That's how the dance works. But what I've noticed is I can feel whether whether a woman has the possibility to be attracted to me. Like I can feel already like an energetic bond or an energetic compatibility between me and somebody just by looking at her. And I follow that. And so I'm still making the first move in the realm of doing, but I'm noticing that there's like an undercurrent of attraction. And so what I've noticed as a projector is I'm really saved by my keen, deep awareness of the energy undercurrent underneath everything. The energy between and underneath everything really saves me from living a passive life wondering where I'm welcome, because I can sense that very strongly in the you could say subtle, but for me it's not subtle. The subtle nuances of how my body responds, I can notice how people are responding to me in the most subtle way, even before I even talk to them. And that kind of saves me from being passive and not making any moves, because I can make moves based on the undercurrent. And that's not everybody. There's a lot of people that they don't need that. They can go up to a girl that isn't, they can completely ignore that part of existence, and they can go up to a girl and talk to her, and there will be possibly an opening and receptiveness. I've noticed for me that I can do that, and it's a hit or a miss, and I mean that's kind of part of the deal. But I've noticed a power when I just feel the undercurrent of the flow of energy, and I follow that, and that is something that a splenic authority, which is something in human design, it's the the intuitive, the body instinct. That's my authority, which means that's the way I make decisions. It's the most powerful center of my body, and I'm very in tune with that. And so that's like a superpower in a way. The flip side of that is the intensity of my energy, and the way that it can be received means that I need to be a little bit more careful about how I initiate and where I initiate and who I initiate to, because it can be somewhat polarizing. So this might all have been mumbo jumbo to you. There's a truck. I'm going to record in a different place next time, but I'm going to wait. Oh, come on. The truck's backing up and making a lot of noise. This might have all been mumbo jumbo to you. It might have been like, Joe went off the deep end. Now he's Kristallos, and he's talking about human design and energy. And, and fuck it. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. I love you. Appreciate you. I'm evolving. This is starting to do videos after a long time. And I'm in a different spot in my life. And if this doesn't resonate with you, that's totally fine. If this isn't giving you value anymore, it's totally fine. I don't know what kind of content I'm going to continue producing. I'm kind of doing it on the fly here, following my intuition, and where I feel called, what I feel called to share. A lot of the things I'm doing here are in line with what my chart shares is my path, and also what I've noticed with my own experience is powerful, and I'm going to be sharing more about that. So, and then at some point, I'm going to be sharing more about other kinds of types, because I'm a projector, but most people are not. About 19% of the population is a projector. And most projectors, I think, are emotional authority. So splenic authority is the second most common. But yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about. And if you find this powerful, if there's another projector in your life that you want to share this to, or just somebody who you think would like to hear my experience, share this with them. Subscribe. There's going to be more content. And it's going to evolve. So, love you guys. Comment if there's anything that really resonated with you, or anything that really didn't, and I'll respond to everything. Cheers.